have a few minutes before 5 o'clock, so I'm hoping you are in the process of logging in for the Friday meditation. Hi, Jeannie. I hope you're well, and hi, Brenda and Kashi. So nice to see you all, and I think I'm going to put another pillow on my chair so I can get the right angle here. Oh, here, that's better. So we're going to give you a little bit of sound to listen to for a few minutes while everybody's logging on. This is coming from a very sweet, hi there, Andrea and Brenda. This is a sweet Himalayan singing bowl. And Dean, welcome back. And Sue. That's what the sound is coming from. The gong is upstairs. I'm down in my office today. And we'll give you another little, this one's very sweet also. I have a whole collection of bowls. This one's a much smaller one. And it actually can sing 4 different notes. So let's see if you can hear it while people are logging on. And that's good, Andrea. Glad to see you saying where you're from. It's nice to know where people are logging in from. Hi, Ryan. And Carl. How nice to have you join us. Hey, Laverne. My wonderful intern, and Maria. Laverne has been interning with me for the past 2 years for the Advanced Healer program. And she is amazing. I could not have done it all without you, Laverne. And Denise, who has spent many years doing incredible work in our... And hey, Missy! How nice that you were able to join today. One of my dear healer friends for lots of years, who lives out in the Chicago area. We'll give you... And there's Erica. Everybody's signing in and saying hi. I know some of you were trying to do little messages last week and said that you were disappointed because it wasn't working. And I'm not sure why. I haven't gained that level of tech smart with this. Here. This one's amazing. And we're going to play with these bowls a little bit more later. Somebody just did a little heart of love for this bowl. This one, the sound goes on forever, off into the ethers of the universe. We may use this one when we're meditating today. So, I'm sure some other people may join us. It's only a couple of minutes after 5. Yes, I love this bowl too, Missy. It's totally amazing. People were asking me, somebody was asking me where to buy such bowls, and I think I can put a plug here for the place where half of my bowl collection has come from, because you can do the purchasing online and you can actually hear the bowl that you're purchasing. And it's HimalayanBowls.com for any of you who want to have the assist of the beauty of the sound of the bowls as you're meditating, or there's just the fun of playing with them. All right, so we can tell we're farther into the lockdown. That's how you can tell. For all of us who haven't been able to get haircuts in almost 2 months or more, I am laughingly being creative with what's happening with just about everything, including the hair. So, and that's an important kind of attitude to hold, to be able to see some of the humor around us as we're being challenged by being sheltered in place, or by the people who are out there who are not holding to the guidelines. Hi, Sue Kowalski Furman. Another one coming in from the Chicago area. And Sam Tellali Trev Ford, I am not sure where you're from. Hi. I haven't figured that out for everybody, but people that I've known for a while, I kind of know where you're for. And Trinity, welcome back, Trinity. And it's fine for you to share the invitations. Sam Tell, you're from UK. So, what, it's 10 o'clock at night there, I think. And it's such a nice time to be meditating, too. Yeah. I'm just looking. In my world. Yeah, 10 o'clock. I was right. And Sue Green. Hi there, everybody. So welcome. I don't know about you, but I have been, I look forward to this 5 o'clock meditation on Friday, especially after an extremely busy week. And I know some of you are not busy because you can't work during this time, and it's a stress to not be able to work. Some of you are working from home, and that's really good. And so as we go into the longer, we're into the second month here in Connecticut of being in shelter in place. And I know many of the rest of you are too, from different parts of the country. And I think many people are starting to get very antsy with what's happening around them, and, getting impatient to go out there and work again. And I certainly understand that. But I also understand the risks of too soon going out of this and back into what seems to be normalcy but isn't. And lots of businesses are struggling with how they're going to do that. And so there's a lot of external forces that are influencing people's mental and emotional states right now. And I need to jump up because I hear Mr. Narada squealing at the door, and he won't stop until I let him back in. So he wants to join the meditation too. So hang on just a sec. Sorry about the interruption. Are you going to apologize and wave to the people? Huh? Oh, he's just going to give you a hello. Yeah, you're going to give more. No, I can't come out and play right now. You got to wait an hour. So I think it's a good time for me to remind you, for those of you who have been following and on the calls for the last 3 weeks, some of you will remember that I taught you an exercise for detaching from those external influences. So I would like you to do that right now, and I'm going to lead everybody through it again. And I want you to think about all of the things that are kind of coming in at you and how they're doing that. Some of the outside things. It can be people, it can be media, it can be nature herself. There's a lot of collective consciousness and unconsciousness swirling around out there as we go through this period of learning some life lessons. And so we can pick up from animals, we can pick up from nature, we can pick up from people. And we can pick up from cultures, and there are a lot of those out there. And so, you know, we're connected to the whole rest of the world right now that's going through this. And so there's a huge, intense level of influence from the emotional states and the mental states of people around the world that we're tapping into because we're going through a common experience on lots of levels. So I want you to think of all of those different things and put them in a cube. You know, just think about a big square box and throw everything into that cube. And then we're going to do a little math formula here of external influences, x to the x power, which covers everything we're not thinking about, that we're not aware of, that's influencing us. And then think of the midline of energy that goes from the base of your spine to the top of your head. It's like a column. And for those of you who know yoga, you're going to say, well, yeah, that's where the chakras are, right? Yeah, it is. But it's also the center of our energy and our strength and our power, and our balance. So think of your midline. And then place yourself into a sphere. You can think of it as a big bubble that you're standing in the middle of. And it can be a bubble of light or energy. You can make it any color that feels right to you. And then just take a nice deep breath and feel what it's like to be separate from all of those outside influences and anchored in your own self and your own strength. And just take a couple of nice deep breaths. And breathe in deep and feel that strength that emerges when you do that. And please remember to do this off and on throughout your day. Some of you may be working out there. Our friend Dean is back today, and one of our wonderful frontline first responders. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. And when you're in the midst of it, the influence of other people's emotional states is even bigger, because you're in direct contact with them. So it's important to remember to do this, and you can do it very quickly once you get good at it. And it's not hard to get good at it, Just think, and then there's Anne Marie who's delivering mail, and still dealing with people and the stresses of that, and doing it beautifully, I should say. So know that you can do that at any time, day or night. If you're starting to feel anxious or angry or kind of out of sorts and off center, because we never quite know what it is that's coming in at us, in addition to what we consciously recognize. And this is a very good way of separating out from it, and it's very important to be able to do that. Hello, Elizabeth. It's very important to be able to separate ourselves out from all of that stuff. Because what happens is when we get involved in it, we feed it, we embellish it in our thoughts, and then it just takes us off on this roller coaster ride of thoughts and emotions. And that's the way the mind is. In yoga, they talk about the mind being like a monkey. And every branch, you think of a monkey and how they love to swing on the branches in front of them. They'll go from branch to branch to branch to branch. The mind is just like that. You put a thought in the mind, and what happens? Here comes another thought. And it may be about that thought, or it may be about something else. And then you have all of these little branches going on of thoughts that are bringing you into turmoil and overwhelm and confusion. And this is one of the things that I'm seeing happening. Most of you know that I work as a therapist, and I have pretty full days, Monday through Wednesday. And so I've got a kind of pulse on what's going on. And then I'm running teleseminars and so on, and people were talking about. And I'm listening, I'm listening to what's coming out in the news. I usually only do that once a day, just to not be as totally influenced about it. And I recommend that to people as well. Just check in on what's going on once a day, and don't get glued to the media, because it gets a little intense, and that will take away your peace of mind. So please remember that you can do this to bring yourself back into balance and strength. And for those of you who have bodies that have some challenges too, whether you're older or younger, if you're ever lifting something heavy, just midline yourself before you lift and bend your knees. It's a really great technique I've been using for years. And it gives you strength. So it's another way to use the midlining idea. And it brings you back into center. So I hope you're beginning to wind down from what's been going on out there and are beginning to have a sense of coming back to yourself. Because really meditation is all about that. When you can get some control over the mind, then you have a much better opportunity to connect with your own inner being and allow that inner being to guide you through difficult times as well as pleasant times. And you can learn to listen to that guidance by meditating regularly. So what I'd like to do with our meditation today is a little more work with sound. Last week we had that wonderful big gong with us. That is upstairs right now. There's no way to bring it down into the office. But I thought I would expose you to something that is possible for you to have in your own home, and that's the singing bowls. Yay! Dean's saying first weekend off in 2 months coming up tomorrow. Yes! Well deserved, well needed. And a good sign also, because it means potentially that some of the cases are winding down, and we're seeing that here, but it's plateauing out. So we need to be careful, as other people do as well, and kind of keep watch and still follow the guidelines. But I'm always glad when I hear our emergency responders and our nurses and docs are getting a few days off to recoup and recharge, to go back out there, because burnout is right in front of everybody right now who's doing any kind of work with people suffering because of this pandemic, suffering in different ways. So today I want to talk a little bit also about sound and mantra. We had that wonderful big gong last week, and I invite those of you who have just joined in the series to go and access the replays, because this one is number 4, there are 3 others, and so you can use them to help you meditate during the week, but really go back to last week's, because that gong is very special. And a number of people have shared with me since then how powerful that experience was. But for you who cannot access such a gong, you can access some singing bowls to play with sound. And one of the things that I talked about last week, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, is the sound of Om, because we did some oming, and we're going to do that again today. The sound of Om is the primal sound of the universe. Those in the Christian tradition, if you remember in Genesis, where there's the verse that says, and then there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and from that everything else was created. Well, in the yogic traditions, there's a recognition of that as well, that there is a primal sound, a divine sound out of which everything is created. And the physicists, the quantum physicists, talk about the constant hum in the universe, that they can hear this sound, and the constant pulsation of energy in the universe that can neither be created or destroyed. It just contracts to become things, even contracts to become thoughts in your own mind, which come out of sound, right? And if your mind is really, really driving you nuts, and there's some particular thought that's driving you nuts, could be a fearful thought, could be an angry thought, a really good technique is to step back and write the thought down, and then divide each word, separate out each word, and then separate out each letter from the other, and see what happens. Because those letters or sounds come together to make words, and words come together to make sentences. And when you start doing that little technique, then you can see a little bit about how the mind creates a lot of drama all the time. And I'm not saying we don't need our minds, we do. But when our minds are creating drama that's not helpful to us, we need to find some ways to control it. So that's a fun little game to play with your mind. And as you do that, you'll find, if you think about it, that those sounds just become sounds with no real meaning. And the words lose their meaning. And the sentences lose their power, because you're separating out the words and separating out the letters. So when you have time, and some of you have lots of time right now, play with that just for fun. And if you have some interesting experience, please feel free to message it to me. I'd love to hear it. So with that in mind, we're going to focus on that primal. Yes, Susan Kellerman Fisters is saying it works like a charm. She's one of my advanced healing students and has been through all of the prereqs where we would do that particular exercise, and everybody would be totally amazed as to how it works. So I recommend it, especially now, because, I was online in the wee hours of the morning following a stream that really kind of threw me off. And I did it on purpose just to see what people were experiencing in different parts of the country. And then I had to back away because of what the mind drama was in this stream on this post. There were some people who knew the secret. And, they made some really lovely comments about, how to manage these times and these thoughts. But that's another way to manage. It's a very fun kind of game. It's like a word game, only going backwards. It's like a backwards Scrabble. Instead of looking to form the words, you're looking to take the words apart into sounds. And in the Sanskrit alphabet, every single sound is a teeny tiny mantra in and of itself. It has its own power and its own kind of internal meaning, which I always find fascinating. So when we work with longer mantras than Om, we're working with the bells are ringing. Dean's got to go. With blessings, Dean, with blessings. And he's being called out on a call. So just send your love and your blessings to Dean as he goes out there into the streets to respond. And he'll come back and listen later on the replay. So what's fascinating with longer mantras, and some of you may be interested in that, and I know I have a lot of experienced meditators here who have been coming in, and I thank you for doing that because your consciousness and your energy supports everybody else, and I know this supports you as well. With the longer mantras, they can also be broken down into some of the meanings, but of the individual syllables. So it's kind of fun to take a look at some of that. And for those of you who are interested in that, just give me a little like sign right now, if you can do that from where you're listening. And what I may do is actually in one of these sessions or in another one, do a different Facebook Live, just a one shot, to work with mantras. Because, interestingly enough, in the healing work that I do, some mantras of healing and protection have been given to me. And I may pull my students in on this one if I find some time to do this particular Facebook Live, to help me help you get one of these mantras to work with, to kind of give you an energetic armor against this virus. So I may, if enough people are interested, just give me a message. I saw a few likes go up, but I know that not everybody's able to do that. So PM me if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that and getting one of those mantras, and I'll recruit my students to help me in getting those mantras to you. And yes, I see a bunch of loves coming up. Loves and likes coming up. So yeah, we'll set that up, and I'm not sure exactly when, but it'll be sometime in the next week or so, if I can fit it in. And we can all play with that. And I know some of you out there already have those mantras. So, all right, so we're going to play with the sound of Om today. And last week we were chanting just Om, but the sound actually has 3 sounds in it that are ah, oo, So it's Om, Om, Om. I want you to try that where you are. Just go ah, ooh, and see how that resonates inside of your body. What you may find is that the ah resonates in the heart, the ooh in the throat, and the up into the bridge of your nose and your third eye. So ah, ooh, ah, Aum. And feel the sound just coming up, and watch what happens to your mind as you do that. So, everybody all together, and do it out loud. Aum. Aum. And extend the and you'll start to feel that, hopefully resonating all the way up into the top of your head. And you'll start to get a little bit intoxicated, maybe. A little blissy. So let's try that some more. Aum. 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 Okay. Now we're going to add a bowl to that. And we're going to, instead of saying it, sing it with the bowl. And now just kind of check in with yourself and see how you're feeling after doing that. Is your mind quieter? Is your body quieter? You may find that that's true. And you may find that you're being drawn into meditation, which is the point. So we're going to do a little more of that, and then I'm going to lead you into meditation. Nice deep breath. Going to breathe in deep, filling up your stomach like a balloon, and then your rib cage, and then your chest. Adjust your posture while you're doing that, so you're sitting with your back relatively straight, and if you're in a chair, with your feet on the floor. And set your hands in your lap with the palms up inside of each other. And if that's not comfortable, just place your hands palms down on your knee area, your thigh and towards your knees. And if you haven't closed your eyes, close your eyes. And breathe in deep, filling up stomach, rib cage, chest. And breathe out long. And as you're breathing out, just let go of tension, of worry, of negativity, of pain, of fatigue. Just let it go out on the breath. And as you breathe in energy and peacefulness. And as you breathe out all of that stress and that worry, physical discomfort or pain. Negative thoughts. Just let them go out on the breath. And now let your breath come back to its normal rhythm. And just be aware of it coming in and going out. Coming in, going out. If the mind starts drifting off, just bring it back to the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. And now take your attention deeper into the breath. See if you can feel where the breath stops as it comes in and as it goes out. There's a space between the breaths on the inside, which is right about in the center of your chest, about 12 fingers down from your nostrils. And there's another space about 12 fingers out from the exhalation, where the breath turns and comes to come back in again. See if you can find that space between the breaths, either on the incoming or the outgoing breath. And let your mind rest in that space. It's like a still, soft cushion for the mind. And with each breath that you're coming in, you're going deeper into that space. Like you're plunging down into a clear pool, right to the source of the pool where the spring wells up. And you're plunging into your inner spring of peace and creativity, healing energy, light, love, compassion. All of that is in that well. And all of that can recharge you. And remember, if your mind gets drawn outward, just bring it back to the breath and the space between the breaths. And see if you can hear the sound, the natural mantra of the breath coming in and going out. Hum on the in-breath, sa on the out-breath. It's like listening to the waves of the ocean or the shushing of evergreen trees or the purring of a cat. This mantra exists in all of nature. And it's the natural mantra of the breath. Hum on the in-breath, sa on the out-breath. Let it take you deep, deep, deep inside. And sometimes as you go that deep, you begin to hear some guidance for yourself. You heal your inner self. Making you aware of something you need to do or a way you need to be. Allow that to happen. Listen to your own self. There's so much wisdom there. And in that space between the breath, there is nothing but that. And that is your own divine consciousness that dwells within your own heart. As you tap into that, your talents spring forth Your strength springs forth. Your love springs forth. Your happiness springs forth. Your wellness springs forth. It all lies in there between the breaths as you dive deep into that space of the self. For those of you who are creative, your inspiration is there too. Okay, now, if you've lost the awareness of your breath and just sort of plunged into that space, bring your awareness back to the breath and breathe in deep. And breathe out long. And again, breathe in deep. And breathe out long. And breathe in deep. And breathe out long. And you can wiggle your toes and your fingers. And you can stretch. You might even roll your shoulders a little bit. Move your head back and forth. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Holding on to the awareness that you gained while you were inside. And contemplate that. Kind of look around you. See if your eyes are seeing things more clearly. Is there moonlight streaming in your window? Is there sunlight streaming in your window? There is mine because it's early evening and the sun is still in the western sky, coming directly into the office. We have some people from India here. Namaste. And here in Connecticut, spring is springing out all over the place in the last 2 days. I'm looking up through my office window because I'm at ground level in my office. And the bushes and the trees are all full of that beautiful, delicate green of the first leaves popping out. And there are flowers blooming in my garden. And so remember to spend a little time with nature as well, to bring you back into the present and to the refreshing present, regardless of what part of the world you're in. If you're in Australia and listening to this on the replay, you're moving into autumn. And same is true for South America. If you're in India, you're coming up on monsoon, where everything everything is going to turn lush green after being so dry. And that happens like overnight, doesn't it? It's like a miraculous transformation when the rains come. Everything just bursts into greenery. Enjoy that because it brings you into the present. And when you're in the present, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the past. And your chance of being much more peaceful is much greater. So practice being in the present, particularly if you have a tendency to get anxious. Because anxiety is almost all the time about future thinking and fear of the future, or past experience and fears from the past. And if you can anchor right here, right now, this very minute, then you have a chance of taking some nice, full, deep breaths, which also brings you into the present, and interrupting the pattern of the mind that's going in an unhealthy direction that's really going to stress you out. So you've gotten a number of suggestions today in terms of how to deal with the mind that, under the lockdowns and all of these things that we're not used to experiencing, all of these things that are changing all the time, and our inability to fully predict the future. Get control of your mind. Interrupt its pattern. Come back to the breath. Come back to Aum. 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 If you have to sit there and do that for 10 minutes out loud to get your mind to stop doing what it's doing and come back into the space of peacefulness, just do it. Don't care what anybody else around thinks. Just do it. Take care of you. And then they'll see you transforming and they'll say, what did you do to get there? And you can share it with them and send them to the replays. Remember that you can break down your thoughts, your sentences, into words, and break the words down into letters and kind of space them out on the page. You write it down and do that. And watch what happens. It's an experiment. Just try it. And you'll start to gain more control over the mind. Hi there, Lynn. I see that you've popped in. And that's why I'm doing these meditations, because I know that in these times of disaster, and that's what this is, and catastrophe, people are exposed to so many things that feel threatening, that we need to come back to our present moment and our own inner being in order to gain the strength to have the clarity of mind to make good choices as we move through this challenge. So, we have a few minutes left, and I'm wondering if anybody wants to have a question answered. If you do, kind of type it into the messaging and I'll see it and answer it. Hopefully your minds are all nice and peaceful and the questions are gone. This is very good. And remember, just remember to share this with other people. You know, everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. And lots of people have been tapping into this because you all have been sharing and getting the word out. So, for the duration, I will be doing this every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time. and you can translate that. There are conversion charts on the webs. You know, you can just Google conversion charts, and it'll convert the time if you're not sure how to do that. Because some of you are from other parts of the world, and it's a little more complicated than just the time zones in the U.S. and Canada. So, with that in mind, again, if you have questions as you go through your week, feel free to message me. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And feel free to replay any and all of the Facebook Live videos of meditation. And use that to do some daily meditation. Because the more you do it, the more control you'll gain over the monkey mind. So with great love and great intention, that you all have a good week and that you continue to meditate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peaceful mind, please. Because the more of us who have that, the more other people will get it from us. And the happier we will all be. And I will see you next week at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. So, bye for now.